grab the pop-up chat yet. Should be live. Ooh. Oh, there we are. Okay. There's a pop-up chat for you. I've got the pop-up chat.
Cool.
All right. Only Guido says only slightly weird date and time. a day off and an hour off. So true.
Yep. All the off by ones. Hello, everybody.
But it's going to get even weirder next week. So
yes,
keep in mind. All right. Okay. All my devices need to be quiet.
Little things, little problems.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Full on do not disturb mode. Do not disturb mood. Oh, it says not getting video fast enough. It'll be fine.
I don't even know what that means.
When you run YouTube, you don't find that sometimes it complains that it's not getting data fast enough from your streaming computer?
No, that I haven't hit. I've hit many other issues, just not that one.
No, it'll drop frames, but I'm not seeing any dropped frames from the streaming software. So
okay.
But I find sometimes you just restart your router. Like for some reason, it
no, we have that in the office
doing...
where Zoom constantly gives us your bandwidth is your internet is unstable error.
Yeah.
So
well, you get both of those, right? Because I'll get that for you, bringing you into the we were gonna have you stream. Oh well, we'll do it when you get back
next time.
Yeah, I can say hi to a bunch of people. Hello to Aldred, Arnold Post, Capital H, Coalfire, Dane Coview, Douglas Friday, Dusty Reichwin, Giselle Sabrin, Gordon Dewis, Graham Walbridge, Guido Bibra, Janelle Duncan, John Seffield, Johnny Zed, K Spence 303, Nancy Graziano, Peter Quinn, R. Instro, Susie Murph, Thomas Traniker, Truck Captain Stumpy, Vihang Dixit, and Zed Black Rider. Hey, everybody. Bunch of new names, I guess, because we're recording when you get to have the day off.
Yes, which works.
Which works for some people, for sure. Yeah, it's a round world, and we just can't figure out a way to be able to record at a time that everybody can always see it. We're just
that planetary rotation.
Unfortunately, we're gonna give some group of people on this planet, we're gonna be recording right in the middle of their sleep time.
It's true.
I think it's Europe is normally the one. No, actually for us it's Asia. I'm trying to think when it is.
Europe we're usually super kind to because they're already home from work.
Yeah, so that's like their evening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're wondering what it is that you've stumbled into, this is going to be a live episode of Astronomy Cast. We're going to take some amount of time, depending on my whim, and then we will and do the episode. And then we will move on and yak with you guys and talk with you about space and astronomy. And I'd love to hear what things you guys are excited about for the upcoming year. So by all means, throw some comments and suggestions and ideas into the various chats. Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay.
I have everything set up.
I just pressed record, so
I've pressed record too. Hello, Chad.
Once recorded can never be unrecorded. That's super not true. All right, here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 474. What's coming up in 2018? Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. My name is Fraser Cain. I'm the publisher of Universe Today. With me, as always, Dr. Pamela Gay, the Director of Technology and Citizen Science at the Astronomical Society of the Pacific and the Director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. We are recording this episode literally one day. I'm using literally in the correct way.
You are.
One day since we recorded the last episode. But for those of you receiving it in your podcast feeds, time has no meaning. It's all relative. And so you're going to receive it a couple of days extra. But that's because you're going somewhere next week.
I am. I'm going to be at the American Astronomical Society meeting in Washington, D.C. And the meetings held in that city tend to be the absolute largest of all of the AAS meetings. So this is going to be several thousand researchers, students, education specialists, all the different careers that are needed to make professional astronomy a thing. We're all going to be in one place, apparently freezing to death because Washington, D.C. Um, and yeah, so today is all about getting everything done ahead of travel tomorrow.
Yeah. It's and you're gonna bring back some knowledge, right?
I hope to, and while I'm there, my goal is to. I've somehow managed to avoid having to have a lot of business meetings while I'm there, so I'm gonna go pretty much as press. Tuesday is all about presentations, and every other day I will be tweeting out, blogging out, and at 5:30 Eastern, twitching out on CosmoQuest X on Twitch, all the new things that we have learned that particular day.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite times of the year when you bring back all the new stories, because it's one thing to see all the press releases, but it's another thing that you were there and you got a chance to chat with the actual researchers and you get a bit of a background knowledge about some of the experiences and the stories that went into actually gathering this research. So I it's funny, we wrapped up the show and we were like figuring out what we're going to do next week, and I said, oh, you're going to AAS. I really like it when you give that roundup of the AAS and some of the other big science meetings that are out there, because those of you who aren't in the science communicating group don't really realize how much just comes out from these meetings, like just mountains and mountains of news, and it's kind of overwhelming and it takes a lot to sort of dig through it. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope everybody else is too. So have a safe trip out there and have a successful hunt.
It's my hope that and I one of the things you and I have joked about is there seems to always be a new tidal tail that has been discovered from some shredded dwarf galaxy.
Yeah. Oh, got another one.
There is always a new explanation for the sun's corona. And so there's just certain
They find something new in the cosmic microwave background radiation.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we almost need a bingo card for some of the
Yeah, exactly.
discoveries that are made
Yeah.
every single
Yeah,
year.
that would
like
be awesome
clockwork.
if you just took your bingo card. We should totally do that. All right, whew, 2018, time to press the reset button and enjoy a whole new year of space exploration and space science. What's coming up this year? What should we expect to launch, and what will we see in the sky? All right, so we're gonna tackle both of these this episode. We're gonna talk about some of the stuff that we're gonna be able to, what stuff is expected to launch, what new rocketry, what new systems are coming online, but as well, what are some of the predicted events. And I think before we even begin, I need to make the same disclaimer that I made last week, which is that 70% of what ended up being the big stories of the year we had no preparation for. They were discoveries, they were events, they were failures, they were things that nobody had planned for. And so we've got to assume that the same thing is going to happen this year. What we think is going to happen is going to be a fraction of what actually happens. So enjoy our hilariously outdated predictions by the end of this year.
We really need to at some point just blog. We don't need to go on camera and admit shame on camera. We need to go back and find past episodes and see just how badly we've screwed up predictions in the past.
Well, we've never been super rigorous about it, but I would love totally, and maybe this isn't the time that we do it because we're not super organized about it, but I would love this for us to literally make some big predictions, because I totally would have failed the Earth 2.0 prediction because I keep saying this is it, this is the year, this is when we find the second Earth, and then the Kepler spacecraft goes down or whatever. So let's go. What do you got? What's something that you're looking forward to this year?
I'm really hoping that someone finally wins the Google Lunar X Prize. I'm really hoping that now that we have Falcon Heavy getting ready to finally do its Falcon Heavy thing, that we're going to see some of these teams. We both have friends with Space IL. There's Moon Express, all these different teams. I want to see some of them finally like get to the surface and do whatever they're going to do to get those 500 meters and send back some video and show that anyone with enough gumption can get to the moon.
Are they? There was a couple of flights. I'm trying to remember who. Like I know some people have ended up booking a SpaceX Falcon. I thought a SpaceX Falcon, just a regular Falcon rocket.
They're booked on all sorts of different things. It depends on the team.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
But the part that's super great about this is that in some cases, multiple teams are on the same rocket. And so they're going to land on the moon and then have some kind of wacky race across the surface of the moon to try and reach that finish line first. And I would love if they had like buzz saws and they could like, fight each other as they were trying to make their
you
way
want a
across
junkyard wars
I
version
totally
of it.
wanted. Yeah, exactly. So, but still, the fact that we're going to get closer, and we're running out of time. Like if one of these spacecraft, I know they already extended the Lunar X Prize time frame
multiple times.
But I think they're running out of time to actually claim the prize and make the big money. So let's hope this is the year that it finally comes together. All right, so I'm going to sort of pick a few spaceflight things first. Now you mentioned the Falcon Heavy, and we mentioned the Falcon Heavy last week as sort of in the final days of the year. It was clear that we got rolled out to the launch pad. I think on the first couple of days of the year, the rocket got stood up and then was brought back down. We're going to see probably some captive fire tests. They're going to test the engines at various throttles. They're going to try and do some vibration tests. They're going to do a few other tests. And it looks like right now we're going to see the Falcon Heavy launch at the end of January. If all goes well, the Falcon Heavy will launch on a Mars interception trajectory carrying Elon Musk's beloved Tesla Roadster, Cherry Red, playing Space Oddity as long as the battery holds out. And
now, do you think it will actually be a successful first launch?
Well, I mean, Elon Musk couldn't be downplaying it more. His opinion of success is if it clears the launch gantry and doesn't do damage to this historic launch pad when it goes off. I mean, this is the same launch pad that they used for the Apollo rocket. So this is a very important launch facility. And yeah, if that thing went off right on the launch pad, it would cause a massive amount of damage to it. But if it actually makes it to a few hundred meters above the launch and then detonates, I think Elon Musk calls that a success. But the perfect success is that it's all of the rockets are going to all the first stages, all three first stages, two reused first stages, and the one middle one, they're all going to return back to and land at various locations around the facility, and then the upper stage is going to send this thing on this interception orbit. So it could be really exciting and super weird, right? To just have like nothing like this has ever happened
synchronized
before.
First stage landings.
But just that we've never seen a privately built rocket used for such a whimsical purpose. Like there is nothing to compare this to except for maybe you can imagine like someone back in the Roman times building a ludicrous statue to themselves, because they can.
It's kind of like it's the kind of thing I think Howard Hughes would have done.
Yeah,
he did movies that were whimsical and strange with crazy ass flight scenes and stuff instead. So this is totally a Howard Hughes maneuver from someone who is more mentally stable than Howard Hughes, as far as we know.
Yep. What else should people look forward to this year?
I'm really hoping that Gaia, and I am such a fangirl of the Gaia spacecraft. I'm really hoping that Gaia is able to start fire hosing us with statistically significant information on how common a whole bunch of otherwise rare things were, and starts doing for stars what Sloan Digital Sky Survey did for galaxies, in terms of just, here is all the data, go understand everything because you have all the data. So I'm looking for all sorts of, we didn't know this was happening, to start coming from Gaia.
I think it's safe to say Gaia is one of the most productive and one of the most fascinating space missions that's been released in the last decade. Not only will it discover will track the movements and locations and chemistry of 1 billion stars, 1% of the stars in the Milky Way. It will also discover extrasolar planets. It will also help pin down information about dark matter and dark energy, maybe discover gravitational waves. This thing is going to do everything.
And what I'm kind of suspecting and looking forward to is there will be a new slurry of papers on, we have redefined the standard ladder of distant measurements by redefining the distance to Cepheid and RR variables, and now everything is shifted a few percent.
All right, so I'm going to give you one that's in astronomy, and this is visual astronomy, and there's going to be a lunar eclipse coming up at the end of January. And it's going to suck for those of us in North America, but for the folks in Asia, they're going to get a chance to see. I'll see it like just as the moon is rising in the morning. What's the date, the exact date? 31st, I think. It's right at the end of January. So it's going to be a very, and lunar eclipses are just always a wonderful treat. And so if you're going to be in the affected area, you're going to want to go out and you're going to want to watch the lunar eclipse as it happens. And, make sure you do.
And there's a partial solar eclipse that will be kind of awesome if you're in Cape Town or the southern third of Africa, and not worth it for anyone else in the world. But if you're in the southern part of Africa, or can go to Cape Town, which is a fabulous city, I highly recommend Cape Town. February 15th is the day to go.
Right on.
It's high summer there. Go escape our winter by going and visiting summer in Cape Town, where they have a beach with baboons and penguins on one beach.
So it's not going to be a great solar eclipse year. And we're still kind of, next year is going to be a good one, and we're really still waiting for the 2024 events. What else have you got?
So I have to say this is going to be that year where budgets get sorted out in ways that either let us dream big or not. We have a all Republican everything at the moment. And it's going to be one of those years that, as we look forward to starting the next decadal surveys, as we start looking to plan out the next set of years, we've pretty much finished James Webb Space Telescope. It'll launch next year or this year. No, next year.
Next year, 2019.
We've finished ALMA. We've finished Curiosity. And this is the year we get to start thinking about what's the next big thing. And I'm waiting for those announcements to start coming out of, we either have to tighten our belt and money's going to manned space flight, or we get to dream big and start imagining new great observatories. It's going to be one or the other. And I don't know which extreme this year will take.
It's going to be a really good year for missions. There's going to be a ton of space missions taking off and heading out into space. So I'll go through a bunch of them and from a bunch of different countries as well. So one that I think is going to be really interesting that won't be on everybody's sort of radar is going to be the Chang'e. I think I'm hoping I'm saying it this
Chang'e.
Right. No, it's Chang'e. I used
really?
to say Chang'e, and I give people a hard time. So it's Chang'e, and that's the Chinese lander. And this is going to be ideally it's going to be a sample return mission. It's going to be taking insects seeds to the surface of the moon, sort of seeing how they handle this lower lunar gravity. It's going to be trying to be bringing a sample back from the moon. So it's going to be a very ambitious mission, one of the more ambitious missions that have happened in lunar exploration. So I think that's going to be amazing. There's going to be the Parker Solar Probe, which is going to be this just almost a flagship mission to the sun. And what I really love about the Parker Solar Probe is that it's going to do like a dozen flybys of Venus, a couple every year, tweaking its orbit and doing sort of like this reverse gravity slingshot to put it into an orbit that allows it to get very close to the sun. It's going to be like 6 million kilometers away from the sun at its closest point to the sun. So it's going to just be right there, seeing the sun at a higher resolution. And when you think about those amazing images that we've got from SOHO and SDO and things like that, you haven't seen anything yet. So when Parker Solar Probe really starts to do those first observations of the sun, it's going to be like how we felt when we could see pictures of Saturn from Cassini and things like that. But now it's of the sun, so I can't wait. I got a whole bunch more, but I won't hit you with them all yet. Have you got anything else?
So one of my favorite weird things, it's not a prediction, we're pretty sure this will happen, but I'm super looking forward to figuring out how they do it, is currently the kilogram mass is based on these physical balls they have, I think, in France. And there's concern that every time they're handled, they're moved, anything happens, atoms rub off, slowly reducing the mass of the standard masses. And they're planning to finally redefine the kilogram based on physical properties this year. And I don't know how they're going to do that, because it's not like anyone has figured out how to do this already. Figuring out things like redefining the meter, that was easy. But this one, I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do that this year.
Oh, that's going to be crazy. It's like a number of atoms of some molar weight of some kind of atom. But can you imagine like counting up the atoms? 1, 2.
And this is how I wonder how they're gonna do it. So I don't know, but I look forward to it.
Yeah. So I'll give you a couple more spacecraft that are going to be launching this year. The next big one that I think is pretty exciting is going to be the Chandrayaan-2, and this is from the Indian Space Agency, and this is going to be their mission to the moon. This is the second one, and again, India has a really great track record of launching spacecraft. They have an orbiter at Mars, the MOM, and now they're going to go back to the moon. So just like more spacecraft orbiting the moon, exploring the moon. It's fantastic. The other big mission that's going to be because like I said, I got a million of these. Another big mission that's going to be going up is the TESS spacecraft, and this is going to be the terrestrial exoplanet survey satellite, I think. I forget.
Something like that, yeah.
Hold on. Transiting exoplanet survey satellite. Sorry. And so it's going to be like a super version of Kepler, but unlike Kepler, which had a fairly narrow field of view, TESS is going to be able to see a big wide swath of the night sky and be able to detect lots and lots and lots of planets around huge chunks. Like, it should pretty much be able to find all of the transiting planets that are in our neighborhood. Just when it's done, we'll know where all the transiting planets are, and then those will then become targets for follow-on on study. And the other part that's amazing about this is that it can find these Earth-sized worlds, which... Go ahead.
And one of the awesome things that we're also seeing happening is Google's been like, and we can solve that when it comes to exoplanets. And they've loosed a new artificial intelligence that they've trained on the Kepler data. There's no reason for them to not do the same thing when the TESS data starts coming. And because they're actual programmers with actual training in programming versus astronomers who have learned how to program, their AIs work better than ours. And so the Kepler team has done a really, really good job writing software that would specifically find planets that matched certain known criteria. And then the Planet Hunters Citizen Science Project has done a really good job using the human brain to find patterns that our software couldn't find. And Google's like, just give. And they
Is that
have
your job
figured,
now, to train AIs?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm okay with
Yeah,
that.
totally.
And there's always going to be problems that need AIs trained for. So I am happy to do the first few thousand data points and hand it all over to an
Yeah.
AI. Um, and so I think this is going to be the year that we see that computer scientists who are actual computer scientists with training in computer science, where that is all they do, start taking over different problems that scientists have been trying to solve and are underfunded. Make in a month what make in a year what a computer scientist makes in a month ways. I think the computer scientists are going to come in and just like start solving problems for us. And I welcome this new invasion of the experts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So one of the big predictions that we're going to see is that 2018 is going to be the year of space internet. So right now, I know of 8 to 10 different organizations, and we're just doing a story about this right now on Universe Today. 8 to 10 different groups that are trying to build constellations of satellites that are going to deliver high-speed internet to the Earth. And we're going to start to see some of these launches. The one that the smart money is on right now is, of course, SpaceX. They've got a plan for a constellation of satellites that are sort of, I think, 3,000 100-ish kilogram satellites that are going to be able to deliver gigabit internet to any spot on Earth. All you need to do is have like a pizza box receiver, so you're not going to be able to really get it while you're walking around. But if you've got a cabin in the forest, or if you're on a boat, or if you've in your car, you're going to be able to have, or at your house. And this is going to, in theory, this will eventually replace your broadband. So whether it's SpaceX that does it, or whether it's an upgraded Iridium network, there's, like I said, there are a bunch of groups that are all competing to do this, and we're going to start to see these first satellites go up and online. And I would be amazed if in 5 years from now, it's not a really competitive solution for being able to get your internet from space. I cannot wait, to be able to get this.
This is going to create a new digital divide in some interesting ways, because we know that Google and SpaceX both are very interested, especially Google, in getting broadband to new places. And Google's strategy is to give it away for free so that they can get people's data. And SpaceX is more entrepreneurial. And I can imagine in rural areas that you have people that are paying $100 a month for their SpaceX satellite gigabit connection. And Google is one town at a time installing Google Fiber. And I'm intrigued to see how the race between fiber and satellite spells out across the country.
Satellite.
But the thing is, not everyone can afford that. So in the rural areas,
well, even
how's it going to play out?
In theory, it's going to be about the same price as your broadband.
And not everyone can afford broadband, which is where it's going to be interesting.
We'll see. Yeah. I mean, but the point is, like, if you can have a gigabit in one location, you can have a radio tower that can distribute it to other people. There can be Wi-Fi. There's a bunch of options that this can do. So the point is that this breaks the chokehold of both the broadband and the mobile providers in a lot of these countries. And I know, for the folks in the United States, you've really only got, in many cases, two providers.
That's optimistic.
Yeah, yes, one provider where you can actually get your broadband internet from. Well, that is ridiculous, and that needs to be solved. So I think this is the way. So once again, Elon Musk to the rescue. What have you got, Pamela?
So with going back to the science side of things, we've finally gotten one observation of a fast radio burst. And I'm hoping that now that we've seen one, we're going to start seeing a whole bunch and finally start to figure out what the heck is going on, and to figure out just these little things that we keep seeing and we've been seeing for a long time. I don't know what are. I want to start picking apart these. And I think fast radio bursts, just like we finally know exactly what a short gamma ray burst is, I think these things are, with all the new instruments coming on, what we're finally going to be able to identify.
One of the most sensitive instruments for this project is here in Canada. Just a few, well, maybe about 800 kilometers away from my house in the middle of British Columbia. It looks like a bunch of snowboard half pipes all aligned. It's called Chime, and I really would like to go and check it out at some point. So we haven't done an episode on FRBs yet, have we?
No,
Okay.
we should probably do that. Let's consider doing that
It's
next.
on the list that I sent you of ideas for topics. So
I know.
So maybe elevate that one. All right.
And beyond that, we have Large Hadron Collider has been getting closer and closer and closer and getting more and more, still not quite statistically significant, tantalizing hints at new particles. And I'm really hoping that this year they push it and we start either ruling out different models or confirming different models that might even start to explain what dark matter particles are.
That would be amazing. So one big one here is watch the skies, because the Chinese Tiangong-1 space station is going to be returning to Earth. Uncontrolled. Yeah, they lost control of the spacecraft a couple of years ago. Now it's probably tumbling and is losing altitude. And the current plan expectation right now is it's going to come back sometime in mid-March. And it's going to come back anywhere between north and south 43 degrees latitude. So,
my guess is it hits Siberia, because everything seems to hit Siberia.
It can't. Because it's too high. So it can only go to 40. So it won't even hit. It can't even hit us here in Canada.
Aren't the southern parts of Siberia that far south?
Northern California is sort of where the 43 degrees passes through. So if you think about, draw a line through, Northern California and wherever that works across the planet. I'm safe here, and you
are
not safe. No. So there you go. You should be okay, actually. You're
31.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm at 49. So, but there you go. Watch the skies. So right now, the thing is that we don't know where it's going to come down. As it gets closer and closer and closer to actually coming down, then the controllers will know what those final orbits are going to be, and they'll go. It'll probably come down on this track, or it's going to probably come down on that track. And so then, if you're along that track, then you'll know if there's a risk. Most likely, it's just going to end up in the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean. So.
Because that's the biggest part of our planet.
Yep. I'm pretty much out, but I've got some personal things that are going to be happening this year. So what about you?
So as always, I'm always waiting for that statistically significant something. And I'm just going to go back to, I'm pretty sure Guy is going to do something awesome. And I look forward to it. Just stop there.
Right. So for me, I've got a talk that I'm giving in Australia in July. So I'm going to get a chance to go to the Southern Hemisphere, and it's going to be an astronomer convention on the Gold Coast, and I will see the Southern Hemisphere objects with my own eyeballs for the first time. So I'm going to get a chance to see.
Awesome.
I know. I'm going to get a chance to see the large and small Magellanic Clouds, the Omega Cluster, the Southern Cross. I am, Alpha Centauri. I'm really excited to do this. So hopefully we're going to be able to extend the trip, and maybe I'll get a chance to go a couple of other places while I'm down there. since I'm already going to be in the neighborhood. So that's going to be a big thing that I'll be doing this year.
If you can make it to New Zealand, it's on my list of places I would move if I was given a job offer. It's a very, very, very short list. It's
you
a
hear
list
that?
of 4 places.
Right. You hear that, New Zealand people? Pamela will come work from New Zealand. Anything else before we wrap up this week's show?
I have nothing that exciting going on. In February, I'll be at the European Testing Conference in Amsterdam. In March, I'm going to be at a big data conference in Israel. Other than that, I'm still plotting out the rest of my year. So,
right on. All right, we'll have a good trip to AAS, and we'll see you when we actually see you, which will be close to 2 weeks. But for the people listening, it'll be in a week. So, see you later, Pamela.
Bye-bye.
All right, save.
Save. My head slowly solidified while we were recording that. And I apologize to all of the people out there listening live for all of the sniffling. Yeah, it's just that time of year.
Yeah, I've actually mostly avoided it. It's really weird. Normally I get it. I get the sniffles and all kinds of congestion, but so far I've been okay. For like the first time in decades, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what. I think part of it is I also went into our basement of all the things I'm allergic to prior to recording to switch laundry.
Quadlibet is saying that we're going to get a chance to see I'll get a chance to see the moon upside down.
It's true.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's Orion upside down that always confuses me because it's just like that is not no. And
that's awesome. All right, so go ahead and put in any comments, questions, ideas, suggestions, comments about what you think is going to be really cool. Ignati,
hey, Michael's in New Zealand right now. He just said, hello, Michael.
Man. Hey, Michael. Michael Meyer has been with us on 2 events and he got a chance, actually at St. Louis, we got a chance to spend quite a lot of time together. We went and did a bunch of wildlife observing, and then we got a chance to go to the botanical gardens that are there in St. Louis. And, with my wife and her friends, all the bug nerds were out taking macro photography, and Michael and I were wandering around identifying plants from our native homelands. It was a lot of fun.
That is cool. And I'm making hot tea off to the side, so hopefully I can get my head to clear.
Bradley Brawler's wondering where do the comments from the screen come from? You can't see any other on our chat. So we have the WSH crew, which is the community that we kind of work with. They run this Slack channel, so it's free to join. It's just this sort of one step because people in YouTube can be nasty. So if you want to join this community, and they talk about the shows, and they're actually they organize our guests for the weekly space hangout. So just go to wshcrew.space. There you go. It's in the chat as well, and you can learn how to join that community and then participate. Tanya Davis says you're going on the cruise with PM Sutter. Yeah, Paul and I are going to be going on a cruise to the Eastern Caribbean in September. We're going to be starting at Cape Canaveral, and we're going to be going down. So hopefully we'll get a chance to meet up with some space peeps and see some cool stuff in Florida first, and then we're going to go down through the Eastern Caribbean. We're going to set up telescopes and get a chance to do some observing with folks every night, and then also see some cool Mayan ruins and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. You can go to astrotouring.com and find out more information about that upcoming trip. Paul is sort of queuing up a whole bunch of these, some with me, some with other people. Some people are doing them on their own now. So I think we're going to be doing Costa Rica in 2019, and Paul is actually going down to Chile in the summer of 2019 to try and prepare for, winter, anyway, to try and prepare for the eclipse. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to do the 2019 eclipse. So
awesome.
And then Pamela and we did an adventure last summer with the eclipse, and so hopefully we're going to queue up a bunch of more fun adventures like that.
Yes.
Right, Susie?
We are almost done cleaning up from the last eclipse trip.
What? Oh. Someone posted a picture of Paul Matt Sutter dressed like the Kraken on. That's the craziest thing, right there. I'm running it through the chat over on Slack. That is so funny. What? Paul. Paul is such a skeptic and such a buzzkill when we have all these really cool speculative stories. Like the EM drive and things like that, and so we call him the Kraken. We release the Kraken.
He hasn't learned to just nope you and laugh.
Well, he nopes angrily and vociferously and just rains on all of our parades. But
that's so good.
It's awesome. It's what we need, because you do this role for me here in this show.
Yeah.
And have I mentioned that I have somehow become the skeptic amongst against the sort of the YouTubers? It's hilarious.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. And so folks like Isaac Arthur and John Michael Gaudier are like, super adventurous, and they're like, oh, talking about the far, far future. And I'm like, we'll probably never send humans to other stars. People are like, oh, you're such a bummer, man. I learned it all from Pamela is what I say. I just blame her.
I'm all about the dark humor of the universe.
Oh. Release the Sutter. Let's see. Thomas Tranneker has a great question. Is astronomy fun after you start to work with it?
So, as long as you keep people around you who don't have to do budgeting and paperwork. So I recently hired a new programmer who only has to do software development and never has to deal with politics. And he is happy and enthusiastic and loves to come to work each day because he's focused on astronomy. And he's someone who wanted to be an astronomer, became a computer programmer instead, which is perfect for working with my team. And working with him reminds me of why I started doing this, because I hate doing budgets and I hate telecons that are just people reporting out and saying things I could just as easily read. And so as long as you have enthusiastic people around you who aren't doing the bureaucratic and administrivia side of astronomy, you will stay excited. But I've seen a whole lot of people who end up going down the administrator route, and they end up becoming managers who have PhDs in astronomy, and they still enjoy their jobs, but that excitement to get in and read archive-X each day goes away. So one of my goals for the year, and Noisy Astronomer just joined us on Slack. Hello, Noisy Astronomer.
I think Noisy just got invited by Peter. So she was
no, she joined.
She was voluntold to join.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep people around you who keep you excited, and that's a large part of also why I've done Astronomy Cast for all these many years, is you still have a reason to keep going to the science corners of the web pages of the internets. And so it could get horrible if you let yourself fall into the administrative rabbit hole.
I mean, I think like you have to do something with your life, right?
Yeah.
And every job that you're going to have is going to have some stuff that you enjoy and some stuff that you hate. And you might as well be working on topics that you find interesting and fascinating and enjoy talking with other people, and tend to attract the kinds of coworkers who have that same kind of a personality. So, you definitely get numb to the things that you're working on. I mean, and so, I don't write speculative stories about space and astronomy when I'm not reporting on doing my work, right? So it doesn't become your hobby, but for your hobby to turn into your job is sure beats the alternatives. And so
Yes.
there's going to be times in the day when I don't want to write, and there's going to be times in the day when I don't want to do 1,000 copy paste to fix some problem with HTML or wrestle a web server that's gone off the deep end. But when you sort of look at the alternatives, and so the more time you spend doing other jobs, working in other things, you realize, right? Like what matters most is that you get to spend as much of your time doing as much as you can that you enjoy. And I think that's what matters.
And it's important when you pick who you work with to pick people based on, do I want to spend time with these people versus
Yeah.
will these people increase my prestige? It's cool if they can increase your prestige, but you have to like them first.
Yep.
And you and I, if you look at the normal hiring practices for STEM, we completely foil it because we're hiring all of the unusual people that I mean, look at how many women we both have on our staffs, and this is because they're people we honestly like, and it's weird how that works out for our success.
Yeah. So Peter 1978 just said, that's why I want to try freelance writing. So I just want to be super clear, Peter, that you don't need anyone's permission to freelance write, and you don't need to talk to any publishers. You just start writing and publish your material out there on some of the free stuff that's out there, like Medium, or set up a WordPress website, or even blog out on Google Plus or on Facebook. Like Brian Coberline spent a couple of years just writing bloggy posts on Google Plus and generated a huge following. So please, 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 anyone out there who is interested in being a writer or interested in any of this kind of stuff, don't wait for anybody to give you permission. Just get started, pick your topics, write your stories, get dozens in the can, and you will start to decide if that's a thing that you want to do. And if so, then reach out to various publications to see if they'll want you to do some writing for them. I just, please don't wait for permission.
Yes.
There was another question there. Rover 7377. Any comments about the news of the Pentagon UFO program?
So,
did you see this?
So here's the thing. We are very good at building top secret spacecraft that are not spacecraft. Well, that too. Yeah. Top secret spacecraft and top secret aircraft that are weird, bizarre, and act in weird ways. And I'm pretty sure other countries have the same capacity. So do I think that people saw unidentified flying objects? Yes. Do I also think they were probably made either by branches of our government that the observer wasn't in the know about, or other countries? Yes, I also think that. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of weird stuff has been seen out there that has perfectly reasonable explanations that may be classified. I also know that no matter how good a pilot you are, you're still going to get confused by Aurora Borealis, by Venus, by random sparkles in the atmosphere, by ball lightning. All of these different things look weird from 30,000 feet up.
Yeah, and like, I did a whole video on this, and I've never questioned like that there are unidentified flying objects. Like, it really seems likely that there are unidentified flying objects. But until you identify it, it is unidentified. And you can't say that it's aliens. That's it. You could just say, I don't know what that is. And it flew. And it's a thing. And until you actually can do something else that allows you to study it more deeply, you can never progress any further than that. So that is just that's as far as you can really go. And as you said, obviously the Air Force has been running some kind of program to try and observe the the secret spacecraft and maybe even secret aircraft that other countries are building to try and understand the technology that everyone else is out there, and it's entirely possible. My guess is they're only releasing this stuff that they've decided isn't super interesting. They're still hanging on to the interesting stuff, and it's still probably not aliens, but it could be disturbingly technologically competent Chinese spy planes, right?
Well, and one of my favorite long-term stories was there'd been all of these rural sightings of these strange triangular aircraft that appeared to spin on a dime and were moving across the sky far too fast, and all of these other things that turned out to be pretty much optical illusions because they were actually top secret Lockheed lighter than air triangular balloons at very low altitudes. And they were flying over rural parts of America that attached a couple of Air Force bases. And this was all uncovered basically by people digging through patent records, people digging through what is the path of the sightings across the United States. And a lot of this was figured out in the early 2000s. And now Lockheed has started selling these aircraft. Right. They're less triangular than I would have imagined, but still.
But one thing that was great was, you remember when the SpaceX launch happened over Los Angeles and all social media exploded, and you saw literally thousands of photographs on Twitter and Instagram and all these places of this thing that was happening in the sky. And that is what a smartphone armed populace sees, and that is how they behave when something really interesting happens, is wall-to-wall coverage. 1 million people are out there taking pictures of things that are going on in the sky. And everybody's got a smartphone. Everybody's got the ability to take a picture of something weird that they're seeing, and yet we're not seeing more convincing evidence. So, again, I think it was great for them to release a lot of information, both for its scientific purpose and to get a better sense of what the U.S. military is doing on behalf of its citizens. I am unconvinced that it's aliens. But if you're convinced that it's aliens, fantastic. But we just have a different definition of what is convincing evidence.
And I completely believe in the ability of engineers given way too much money by various militaries to build weird, awesome stuff.
Yep. Any more questions?
So I will be on Twitch later today doing a little bit of painting. So in about an hour at twitch.tv/Starstrider. So if any of you want to see me, I'm going to try and finish. I'm working on this crazy, which camera I'm using? This one. So you can kind of see this is textured.
There you go. Go.
So I'm kind of, you can kind of see this is textured. I'm working on building up an icy moon.
Pluto-esque.
Yeah. So it's been glazed with a couple layers of paint on top of an epoxy base. And now I'm going to add the tiger stripes. So I'm going to be talking about the science behind how we end up with icy worlds that have subsurface oceans while working on doing some painting. And all the paintings will eventually be available, unless I totally fall in love with them, on my husband has an Etsy store for his woodworking that I took over with paintings. So 739 Studios on Etsy.
Right on. All right, let's wrap up this week's episode. Thanks everyone for joining us live. Again, if you want to be part of this chat that's going on down here below, just go to wshcrew.space and you can participate in the chat. I just released a new episode of The Guide to Space, literally the same moment that we started this episode. I wanted to try an experiment, and that's why I did it, which was to find out if the live button would show up on people. Would it bring in a new crowd of people because I had just released an episode over on my YouTube channel? So I don't know. Did anyone who's watching see that was going on right now and join us? I don't know. We'll find out. So, but anyway, new episode all about icy moons. check it
Cool.
out. All right.
We're both doing all the icy moons.
All the icy moons. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Thanks to the WSH crew for organizing the chat. Thanks to everyone over in the YouTube chat. We'll see you all next time. Not necessarily next week, and definitely not this time.
Yes.
See you later.
Bye.